So we just got back from Iceland a couple months ago, and I wanted to tell you some of the top things that we learned that you should know before your first trip to Iceland. Number one, super important, about half the year you need to bring a face mask. And why this is because the sun hits Iceland kind of weird, and in the summer months, the sun only sets for an hour or two at the very, very most. Of course, the other side of the year, it's going to be dark most of the time, but if you're there during the summer and end of spring, beginning of fall, you are definitely going to need a face mask to be able to sleep because the sun is always out. On that same line, the northern lights are not always going to be visible. If you do go during the summer months, I would recommend it just because the weather was very nice when we were there, but you're not going to be able to see the northern lights because it never really gets dark. Do Icelanders speak English? That's a really good question, and most of them do. I don't think we ran into anybody that did not speak English. They actually learn Dutch in school along with Icelandic, and then also many of them learn English as well, so do not worry about that when you're headed to Iceland. If you're going to rent a car, make sure you can drive a stick shift. Not all cars are going to be stick shifts, but just know most of them are. Pretty much everything in Iceland is imported because of kind of their climate and how their country is built. So know that most everything is coming in from a ship, and most everything there will be a stick shift. Okay, so I thought this was the most interesting thing about Iceland. I am slightly afraid of wildlife. I don't know where it came from. I grew up camping. My parents hunted, all that kind of stuff. But I am slightly afraid of bears. Even when I leave my own house in the city, I kind of think there could be a bear there at some point. Iceland has very little wildlife. The wildlife they do have is very small. They have a bunch of birds, but the largest mammal they have is a fox. They do say every once in a while, about every 5 to 10 years, a polar bear washes up from an iceberg coming from Norway or somewhere else, and if it does, it's very hungry, so stay away from it. But other than that, I went out hiking and I had no fear because there is very little wildlife, and definitely you are going to be the dominant species there. The food in Iceland is actually really, really good, although don't always expect to have a lot of options. Because the island is built on basically lava, there's not a lot of opportunity for them to plant anything except for in greenhouses, so a lot of stuff is imported. We did have a lot of delicious fish and chips while we were there, and I don't even like fish and chips, or I didn't before this trip, and now all I want is fish and chips all the time. So just know that there is going to be some really, really good food there, but you may not have a ton of options. All right, number one tip anybody gave me before going to Iceland in terms of packing is to layer, layer, layer. And what this means is that you could start the day out at 10 degrees and end the day at 60 degrees. So just make sure you have a short sleeve shirt, a long sleeve shirt, a coat, something that's waterproof because you may get wet because water is just in the air. There's a ton of waterfalls you're going to be going to, all that kind of stuff. Just make sure you have, you're prepared for pretty much anything, any sort of climate when you go. Along with that layering thing, make sure you bring a hat. And this is not just to keep you warm, but also to keep you dry. And because there is a ton of wind there, you want to make sure that you're not getting a cold your first day because the wind was in your ears all day. All right, just like Iceland is built on volcanoes, it is a very volcanic country. This does not mean you're going to be in danger, most likely, at any point, but you should know that this is one of the cool things to go see. They generally have an active volcano that's erupting at any given time. Not always, but there is one right now. And there's a couple different ones that erupt every couple years, and then some other ones that haven't erupted in 50 or 100 years that they have their eye on. But this island was built because of volcanoes, and so it's really kind of a cool thing they have there that you should definitely go check out while you're there. One of the most surprising things to me was Reykjavik. Reykjavik is a international capital city with an international airport. It's not huge. The entire country has fewer than 350,000 people, and Reykjavik only has about 120,000 people. If you compare that to the city you live in, I'm guessing that if you live in a city, it's going to be bigger than that. It has a cute little downtown. I love the downtown. I mean, really, you can walk it within just a couple of minutes. And then if you travel out to some of the outskirts, it's also really adorable, but don't expect it to be this giant metropolis like New York City or something, because it's really not. They just don't have that many people there. So the thing that surprised me very most about Iceland is there's really something for everybody. Like I said, I'm not really an outdoors person. I don't love being cold, but there really was something for everybody. I enjoyed the hiking. I love volcanoes. I love going out and seeing volcanoes. The food was good. The entertainment was good. The history was good. I mean, really, there was just so much there to do. No matter what you're looking for on your next vacation, it really was such a beautiful, beautiful country. Don't forget about the stopovers on Iceland. So if you're headed to Europe, you can land in Iceland for anywhere from 24 hours to 3 days and just stop and see the country if you're not ready for a full trip. Icelandair offers that, so check out their website for that. So let me know what you thought of Iceland. Don't forget to subscribe and like this above or below, probably below. And I will have a couple more Iceland videos next time.